Hello and welcome to another video. This is the second episode of the story in which Naruto fails an exam for the second time, is duped by and then defeated Mizuki, and is given the opportunity to graduate early but does not take it. Now, with the determination to become strong enough to protect those he cares about, he will reach new heights. Please like and subscribe to show your support. Let's get the show started. Naruto strolled into the Hokage's office, hands casually resting behind his head. "Yo, Gigi. I heard you were looking for me." His sentence trailed off as he noticed the room wasn't empty. The Hokage, two red-haired women, and another blonde kunoichi were standing with the Hokage. Seeing the unexpected company, Naruto lowered his hands and started to turn around. You're busy. I'll come back another time." No, Naruto-kun, we were waiting for you," Hiruzen said with a smile, gesturing for him to stay. Naruto raised an eyebrow, confused. "What do you need me for, Gigi, when you're talking to a foreign Kage?" Before the Hokage could answer, the Hokage spoke up with a slight smirk. "Are you going to allow this brat to show you such disrespect, Hokage-dano? Maybe it really is high time for you to step down." Naruto's eyes immediately hardened, turning cold as they locked onto the Hokage. The shift in the boy's demeanor didn't go unnoticed by Hiruzen. "If you want to know, Hokage-san," Naruto began, voice firm and icy, "me calling him Gigi is a sign of respect, but I guess you wouldn't know that. Akira Nachan once told me that interrupting someone's conversation is the real disrespect, not how they address a trusted elder." His sharp eyes glanced up and down at with clear distaste. "Show Hokage-sama proper respect," yelled Ayano, one of the red-haired women, glaring at Naruto. Naruto turned his cold gaze to her, raising an eyebrow in genuine confusion. "Respect? Why should I show respect to someone I have no respect for?" Hiruzen sighed quietly to himself, thinking, there go my hopes for a peaceful conversation. "Watch your mouth, brat, or," began, his voice deepening with menace. "Or what?" Naruto interrupted, his tone unwavering. "You'll kill me? That would cause a war. What then? You might be fast enough to escape, being the so-called fastest man in the world after the Yondaime Hokage died, but what about these two Uzumaki wannabes? Or Yujito ni, the Jinchuriki of the Nibi who you brought with you?" The Hokage and his entourage stiffened, eyes widening in shock at how much the boy knew. Hiruzen, prepared for the worst, leaned forward. "Hokage-dano, should I be worried about the company you've brought with you?" The Hokage gritted his teeth but managed to keep his temper in check. "Of course not, Hokage-dano. I did not come here to seek a fight," he replied, though his glare was still locked on Naruto, who refused to back down. Yujito, still startled, spoke up, "How did you know about my Jinchuriki status?" Naruto pulled a small black book from his back pocket and waved it around. "This book cost me a lot, but it has info on every ninja worth more than 10 million ryo, he said matter-of-factly, before slipping it back into his pocket. "So how big is the reward for me?" Yujito asked, almost out of curiosity. 35 million, Naruto said with a shrug. 3 more than Gigi's son. Congrats. There was a brief silence as the Hokage processed the fact that a mere academy student had access to such information. Trying to defuse the tension, added, "The Hyuga incident, for your information, was caused by the council that bribed the ambassador. I found out after Hyuga's body reached Kumo." Naruto's glare intensified. "And? Why haven't you apologized yet?" "Leaders don't need to apologize for their soldiers' mistakes, brat," the Hokage snapped, looking down on the boy with disdain. Naruto scoffed. "You're even more pathetic than I thought. You were fooled by your own counsel, you chose the ambassador who tried to kidnap a little girl, traumatizing her, and then when it was all over, you demanded the body of the man who defended her, threatening war. Did you even think about the consequences? The countless lives that would have been lost because of your arrogance and incompetence?" Hiruzen winced at the harsh truth in Naruto's words, but stayed silent. The Raikage's anger flared, but Naruto pressed on. A true leader admits and corrects their mistakes. You should be begging the Hyuga clan for forgiveness, begging Hinata for what you put her through, and begging the orphan child whose father you wanted dead. But no, your pride won't let you do that. Naruto's eyes were sharp, unwavering. I'm not one of your Kyumo ass-kissers. I can easily tell you to your face that you messed up. Deal with it. Ayano, who had been watching in stunned silence, found her voice. You need to show proper respect to the Raikage, she shouted again. Naruto's gaze shifted to her, still cold but now tinged with disappointment. And you, girl? I can respect your village. I can respect skilled shinobi like that lady over there, he nodded toward Yujito, but your leader? He's a fool. And in my book, fools don't deserve respect. If you ever become a leader, I hope you do a better job than he has, or I fear for your subordinates. Turning back to the Hokage, Naruto softened his tone slightly. What am I doing here, Gigi? You know I don't like wasting my time. Hiruzen, still amazed that there hadn't been any violence yet, nodded politely. Raikage Dano? The Raikage, clearly furious but holding back, growled through clenched teeth. We're here about the bounty on Kuro Nagain. Naruto raised an eyebrow, remembering the briefcase exchange earlier. Yujito stepped forward and handed over a briefcase full of Ryo, while Naruto handed her a scroll with Kuro's body sealed inside. After a moment of verifying everything, Yujito nodded, and both shinobi sealed their respective items. Ayano, still angry, spoke up again. Where's Enraiha? She demanded. Safe with me, Naruto replied, not bothering to look at her. Give it back. Ayano shouted. Naruto sighed, not in the mood for a fight. Why should I? According to international law regarding missing nins, anything in their possession at the time of their death belongs to the one who takes them down. Enraiha is mine now, and it's staying that way. Ayano's face twisted in frustration, but her mother, Akane Kannagi, stepped forward, eyeing Naruto with interest. And how do you know about that law so well, boy? It's not boy. It's Uzumaki Naruto, future Hokage of Konohagakure no Sato, Naruto said proudly. And I know because I'm an honorary member of the Kushiku clan. The last living member, Hiroshi Kushiku, was my master. He left me everything, including all rights to Enraiha. Akane's expression shifted, a mix of curiosity and recognition. I see. Well, then, Uzumaki Naruto, it's a pleasure to meet a future Kage, she said with a respectful nod. Ha! Like someone like that could become a leader of a village, the Raikage scoffed. Naruto smirked. If you could become one, then anyone can. Why you little, the Raikage began, but Ayano cut him off, stepping forward. Fight me, she declared, glaring at Naruto. If I win, you give me Enraiha. Naruto blinked, surprised. Say what? You heard me, Ayano said, her voice firm. If I win, you give me Enraiha. And if you lose? Naruto asked, crossing his arms. Ayano hesitated, then blushed slightly. Then. I'll give you whatever you want. Naruto scratched his head, unimpressed. Yeah, I don't really need much. The only thing I spend money on is ramen, and with this bounty, that's pretty much covered. He turned to leave. I'm good. See ya. Then, Ayano stammered, her face turning red, if I lose, you can, use my body however you want. Ayano, her mother scolded, shocked. Naruto froze in his tracks, then slowly turned around, his face blank with confusion. Huh? Why would I need your body? I'm pretty happy with my own. His brow furrowed in thought. Unless you mean like for spare parts or something? But that's just weird. The Hokage face-bombed. You've got to be kidding me, he thought. Hiruzen. Fighting back a chuckle, cleared his throat. Naruto-kun, do you remember the conversation we had after you returned from your trip? Naruto blushed slightly, realization dawning on him. Oh. Oh. He pointed accusingly at Ayano. You're a pervert. I am not. Ayano shouted, her face burning with embarrassment. Ha. Then why do you want to get into my pants, Naruto said, crossing his arms. Akira-chan told me that stuff like that should be between people who actually like each other. I don't even know you. Be baka. I'm just trying to make the stakes fair, Ayano stammered, mortified. Naruto sighed. Then you're an idiot. You're what, a year older than me? You probably haven't even done that yet, right? Seeing her face flush even more, he continued, Akira-chan said the first time is really special for girls. You're trying to throw it away over a sword? That's just dumb. Inraiha's a great sword, but it's not worth that. I can't accept your offer. He turned to leave again. I'm out. Later. But before he could take another step, Akane Kannagi stepped forward, pulling out a scroll. Wait, Uzumaki Naruto. I may have something that will interest you. She unsealed the scroll, revealing a large, ornate chest. I purchased this on the black market. It carries the Uzumaki clan crest, albeit with a slightly different coloring than usual, but it matches the one on your back. Naruto's eyes widened as he stared at the chest. Without a word, he slowly approached it, his hand trembling slightly as he reached out to touch the chest. His fingers brushed against the wood, and an overwhelming sense of nostalgia washed over him. He stood still for a moment, then turned to Ayano, his eyes now determined. I'll fight you, Ayano Kannagi. Inraiha on the line, for that chest. Ayano, still reeling from the earlier conversation, glanced at her mother, who nodded. Straightening her back, Ayano smirked arrogantly. Fine. When do you want to fight? Naruto didn't hesitate. Immediately. Now, Naruto-kun, Hiruzen said, sensing the boy's tension. Wouldn't it be better to fight another day? You've been training all morning, and, the Hokage paused when he saw the fire in Naruto's eyes. Sigh. Very well. He turned to one of the ANBU. Tora, prepare the arena. Yes, Hokage-sama, the ANBU replied. The fight will take place in the arena, Hiruzen announced. Is that acceptable to everyone? Everyone nodded in agreement, and with that, the tension rose even higher as they prepared to head to the arena for the clash between the last Uzumaki and the heir of the Kannagi clan. The arena was set. Both parties stood on opposite sides of the field. Hiruzen, the Hokage, and the Kannagi matriarch watched from a higher balcony, their eyes glued to the fighters below. Naruto cracked his knuckles, his eyes flickering briefly with determination. Let's get this over with, he muttered under his breath. Ayano, her fan in hand, smirked across the field at Naruto. Prepare yourself, Uzumaki. I won't hold back. Naruto tightened his grip on his gloves, his thoughts briefly flashing to the Uzumaki chest waiting for him. The tension in the arena rose as the ANBU proctor glanced between the two fighters. Okay, are you both ready? He asked, his voice cutting through the heavy air. Ayano, the Kannagi heir, tightened her grip on the katana at her side. Her mind was racing. This will be easy. When I bring back Inraiha, father won't be sad anymore, she thought confidently. Yes, she replied, determination burning in her eyes. Naruto stood across from her, arms crossed, his expression unreadable. She graduated with bushy brows and ten. Should I take off my weights and turn off the resistance seal? He quickly reconsidered. No, I'll test her out first. He gave a slight nod. Yes. The proctor raised his hand. Then, Hajime. Without a second thought, Ayano sprinted forward, unsheathing her katana in a swift motion. She swung the blade at Naruto with a vertical slash, hoping to catch him off guard. For a brief moment, Naruto's eyes widened in what appeared to be shock. "I've got him," she thought. But as the blade came down, Naruto simply sidestepped, his body moving fluidly, almost lazily, avoiding her attack. "She's so slow," Naruto thought, comparing her movements to those of Lee and Tenten, who trained at speeds far beyond what Ayano was showing. As Ayano swung her katana horizontally, Naruto crouched effortlessly, dodging it with ease. In a swift movement, he rolled beneath her arm, sliding behind her. And then, to her utter shock, Naruto did something she never expected. He slapped her on the backside. "You pervert!" Ayano screamed, her face flushing red with a mix of embarrassment and fury. She instantly channeled her Enten chakra into her katana, setting the blade ablaze with fire, much like she had practiced countless times with Enraiha. She swung the flaming sword wildly, her strikes erratic and full of blind rage. But Naruto, moving with almost casual grace, evaded every slash with minimal effort. Minutes passed, and Ayano's movements began to slow as exhaustion and frustration set in. Realizing she was getting nowhere, she stopped her relentless swings, panting heavily. Naruto, standing a few feet away, looked at her with an almost bored expression. "I'll give you a couple of tips," Naruto said, his voice calm. "I don't need your advice." Ayano spat back, stubbornly refusing to listen, but Naruto continued anyway, ignoring her outburst. "First, don't let your anger cloud your judgment. Second, underestimating your opponent is the quickest way to get yourself killed. Third, you rely on your weapon too much. Fourth, arrogance will be the downfall of many ninjas, and you're not as good as you think you are, AAGH. I'm going to rip you apart." Ayano screamed, her temper flaring again. She charged forward, raising her katana, intending to slice Naruto in half. But just as she was about to swing down, her body froze in place. She couldn't move. What is going on? Why can't I move?" Ayano cried out in confusion and panic. Naruto sighed. "Fifth, never let an Uzumaki mark you." He stepped closer to her, holding up his hand, showing her a small glowing symbol etched on his fingertips. "I'm not a pervert. When I slapped you earlier, I placed a paralysis seal on you. It's a simple seal, really, one that can be overcome with enough strength or chakra, but I knew your anger would work against you. You let your emotions control you. That's why you lost." Ayano's eyes widened in realization as she struggled futilely against the paralysis. Naruto pulled out a kunai and pressed it gently against her throat, signaling the end of the match. "Winner, Uzumaki Naruto," the ANBU proctor announced, impressed by the boy's ingenuity. Naruto sheathed the kunai and turned away from Ayano, walking towards the audience that had gathered on the other side of the arena. As he walked, he made a quick hand sign, muttering, "Kai," under his breath to release the paralysis seal. Ayano collapsed to her knees, gasping as she regained control of her body. "I lost." Ayano thought, her heart sinking. "I lost, and now I won't get Enraiha back. I failed." Her hands clenched into fists as she glared at Naruto's retreating form. "It's all his fault. It's all your fault." Ayano screamed, her voice raw with frustration. In a final act of desperation, she gathered the last of her chakra, igniting her sword with a blazing flame, and charged at Naruto from behind. "Ayano, no!" Akane shouted, horror gripping her as she watched her daughter recklessly charge at her opponent. Just as Ayano's fire-enveloped katana was about to strike Naruto, he spun around with lightning speed. His eyes were cold and focused as he waved his hand, using his wind chakra to extinguish the flames in an instant. In the next moment, he caught the blade with his left hand, then smashed it with his right next to the hilt, shattering the katana. Without a second's hesitation, Naruto kicked Ayano in the chest, sending her crashing into a nearby tree. She slid down the trunk, stunned, her body trembling. Naruto's expression was unreadable as he walked toward her and threw the broken katana, embedding it into the tree beside her head with a solid thunk. Ayano's breath hitched as she stared into Naruto's piercing blue eyes, now cold as ice. "I thought you were a respectable person," Naruto said quietly, his voice laced with disappointment. He turned away from her, walking back toward the rest of the group. "I won. Can I get my prize now?" he asked Akane Kanagi, his voice calm again. Akane, still shocked by the intensity of the fight, nodded and handed Naruto the scroll containing the Uzumaki chest. "Yes, of course," she said, her voice soft. "I'm sorry you have nothing to apologize for, Akane-san," Naruto interrupted, waving off her concern. He then looked at Hiruzen. "I'll be going now, Gigi." The Hokage, who had watched the entire match with a mix of pride and concern, nodded. "Very well, Naruto-kun. Take care." With a quick goodbye, Naruto left the arena, leaving the others behind. Akane walked over to her daughter, who was still sitting slumped against the tree, a mixture of shame and frustration on her face. "We need to have a talk, young lady," Akane said sternly, folding her arms. Ayano lowered her head, muttering under her breath, "Damn it." As the morning sun gently streamed into the Hokage's office, Raikage stood ready to wrap up his visit with Hiruzen Sarutobi. The tension that had filled the room the day before had lifted, though a formal air still lingered between them. Hiruzen greeted with a polite yet firm tone, and responded respectfully, though a hint of gruffness betrayed his true feelings about the trip. Nearby, Naruto stood with his arms crossed, clearly unimpressed by the formal farewell. "What am I doing here, Gigi?" he grumbled, his irritation palpable. Before Hiruzen could respond, Ayano stepped forward with her mother, bowing deeply in sincere apology. "I want to ask for forgiveness. My actions yesterday were dishonorable," she admitted, her voice steady with remorse. Naruto studied Ayano for a moment, his eyes narrowing slightly before turning to with a sharp remark. The room fell silent, and bristled at the comment. But before tensions could escalate, Naruto faced Ayano again, his voice softening. "I already forgave you. I'm not good at holding grudges," he said, a small smile playing on his lips. From a puff of smoke, a scroll appeared in his hand. "Here, sign this," he offered. Confused, Ayano looked at the scroll. "What is this?" she asked. Naruto explained it was a contract similar to one her ancestor had signed with the Kushiku clan, introducing her to Rekka, a katana he had crafted, stronger than the legendary Inraiha, thanks to special seals. The opportunity to wield a weapon created by Naruto himself was beyond anything Ayano had imagined. Naruto presented her with a choice: sign the contract, and Inraiha would remain his, while she would take up Rekka. Overwhelmed by the offer, Ayano questioned why she was chosen after everything she'd done. With a warm smile, Naruto expressed his belief in her potential and character. "Because you're a good and respectable person," he said, encouraging her to train harder. Embarrassed yet inspired, Ayano felt a surge of hope and determination. Without hesitation, she signed the contract. Naruto nodded approvingly and unsealed Rekka from its scroll. He guided Ayano to place her hand on the katana's hilt, instructing her to channel her chakra into it. As her energy merged with the blade, Rekka responded, humming softly in her hand. "Now only you and I can unsheath it," Naruto explained, the sheath enchanted to maintain the blade's sharpness. "Take care of her, okay?" "I will," Ayano whispered, hugging the katana to her chest in gratitude. The tender moment was soon interrupted by Raikage's impatient voice. "Now that this is over, let's go," he grumbled, eager to return home. Despite his brusque demeanor, a hint of respect flickered in his eyes as he bid farewell. "Goodbye, Hokage Dano." "Brat." Hiruzen bowed slightly in response, and Naruto grinned, adding a mischievous remark about almost everyone before the Raikage muttered back with a faint smirk. As the Kyumo delegation began to leave, Hiruzen and Naruto shared a moment of silent reflection. The Hokage questioned the wisdom of entrusting Ayano with such a powerful weapon, to which Naruto responded with a confident smile, "Only time will tell." Remembering a promise, Hiruzen mentioned ramen, lighting up Naruto's face. "Ramen?" he echoed eagerly. "Yes. Let's go, Gigi. I'm starving." With his irritation forgotten, Naruto and Hiruzen left the office together, heading toward Ichiraku Ramen. As they departed, Hiruzen couldn't help but smile, recognizing the strength of Naruto's heart and his unwavering path toward greatness, despite the chaos he often brought. The day had been long and grueling for the young shinobi in training, the air filled with the tension of exams and the quiet pressure of proving themselves worthy of their future as ninja. It began with the weapon-throwing test, a staple of their training, where students were asked to score based on their accuracy with kunai, shuriken, and optionally, senbon. The class filed into position, one by one stepping up to prove their precision. Most of the civilian students played it safe, opting for the closest line to score the required October 10th, avoiding unnecessary risks. Shino and Sakura, aiming from the middle line, both managed an impressive 8 out of 10 with a steady mix of kunai and shuriken. Others followed, Ino, Kiba, and Choji securing 7 out of 10, though Choji seemed more focused on the post-exam snacks than his score. Shikamaru, ever the embodiment of laziness, managed a 5/10, his muttered complaint about the inconvenience of shuriken landing him a perfect score with kunai alone. Hinata, with a quiet determination, scored a near-perfect 9 out of 10, while Sasuke, basking in the adoration of his fan club, showed his skill by hitting 9 out of 10 from the farthest line, his talent undeniable. Then came the moment everyone dreaded, or, perhaps, anticipated for different reasons. Uzumaki Naruto. Iruka called, his voice growing impatient as Naruto, instead of preparing for his turn, was nestled comfortably in a tree, asleep. With a sigh, Iruka kicked the base of the tree, using a hint of chakra to rouse the sleeping boy. Naruto tumbled down with a yelp, clutching his head. "That hurt, Databeo. Then don't sleep during the exam, Baka." Iruka scolded, frustration evident as he pointed towards the weapons. "It's your turn, get a move on." Naruto stood up with a groan, brushing off Iruka's irritation with a dismissive wave. As he approached the table full of kunai, shuriken, and senbon, he paused. "How many do I need to take, sensei?" "5 of each," Iruka instructed, trying to keep his patience. With a shrug, Naruto gathered the weapons, his expression uncharacteristically calm as he stepped up to the line. And then, in one swift motion, he released the kunai and shuriken with deadly precision. One by one, each projectile hit the target, perfectly centered, as the class watched in stunned silence. "Very good, Naruto," Iruka began, almost relieved. "Perfect SC, yeah, can we move on now?" "I'm bored," Naruto interrupted, his voice flat, much to the exasperation of his teacher. A tick mark formed on Iruka's forehead, but he held his tongue. "All right, follow me, everyone," he said, leading the students to the other side of the training ground for the taijutsu portion of the exam. Now came the real challenge, facing Iruka or Maki-sensei in a sparring match. Withstanding their attacks for 2 minutes to pass, and 5 minutes for a perfect score. Most of the students barely made it to 2 minutes, dodging or deflecting blows as best they could. Shikamaru, Ino, and Sakura managed to hang on for 3 minutes, while Choji and Shino impressed by lasting 4, managing to land a few hits. Kiba, Hinata, and Sasuke, however, endured the full 5 minutes, with Sasuke outshining the others in both defense and aggression. Then came the moment that had, once again, escaped Naruto's attention. Uzumaki Naruto. Iruka called, scanning the grounds for the blonde troublemaker, only to spot him, of course, sleeping under a tree. Uzumaki Naruto. Naruto jolted awake, rubbing his eyes lazily. I'm up. No need to yell, Dadabayo. Iruka fumed, trying to contain his annoyance. There wouldn't be any need to yell if you didn't keep falling asleep. Get in the ring, it's your turn. Naruto stretched as he sauntered into the ring, his hands in his pockets, the picture of casual disinterest. Yeah, let's get this over with, he muttered, earning a glare from his teacher. Iruka sighed deeply. Hajime, he called, signaling the start of the match. Maki-sensei moved in swiftly, throwing a punch aimed at Naruto's chest, but the boy sidestepped easily, almost lazily. Maki frowned, shifting into a kick, but Naruto dodged again, never losing that air of boredom. For nearly half a minute, the two danced across the ring, Maki attacking with increasing frustration while Naruto avoided each hit, barely breaking a sweat. Finally, Maki cornered him at the edge of the ring, grinning as he aimed a final punch. But in an instant, Naruto spun around on his heel, sidestepping the attack with fluid grace. With a swift kick, he sent Maki sprawling out of the ring, landing hard on the ground, completely stunned. The class stood in awe, eyes wide in disbelief at how quickly Naruto had dispatched the teacher. Good job, Naruto, Iruka said, trying not to sound as shocked as he felt. Another perfect score. Yeah, Naruto waved off the praise. Can we just move on? Iruka sighed again, his patience wearing thin. Alright, let's proceed to the ninjutsu test. The ninjutsu portion passed in a blur of hand signs and techniques, and before long, the final scores were being tallied. Iruka stood before the class, his voice filled with pride as he made the announcements. Rookie of the Year goes to Sasuke Uchiha, he declared, earning cheers from Sasuke's fan club. Kunoichi of the Year is Sakura Haruno. The pink-haired girl beamed with pride, though her attention lingered on Sasuke. And lastly, Iruka hesitated, glancing at Naruto with a bittersweet expression. Naruto Uzumaki, despite your performance today, you've still been placed as the dead last of the class. Naruto shrugged, unconcerned. His perfect scores today hadn't been enough to overturn his previous records, but it didn't seem to bother him. Iruka's voice softened. Team placements will be on Monday at 10 a.m. in this classroom. Don't be late, and remember to take care of your licenses this weekend. Now, go and celebrate. As the students filed out, Naruto lingered for a moment, watching his classmates chatter excitedly about their scores and upcoming teams. Though labeled the dead last once more, a small smirk tugged at the corners of his mouth. This was just the beginning, and if today was any indication, the rest of Konoha had no idea what was coming. 2 days had passed since the academy exams, and Naruto found himself in the Hokage's office once again, a place that was both familiar and oddly comforting to him. The room, bathed in the soft light of late morning, carried the weight of history, but today, the air felt lighter. Naruto-kun, what can I do for you? Hiruzen Sarutobi, the third Hokage, greeted him with a smile, his voice carrying the warmth of an old friend rather than the formality of a leader. Hey, Gigi. I came to get a new scroll, Naruto replied, placing the scroll he had been working on, the second step of lightning manipulation, on the desk. His eyes gleamed with excitement, though he tried to mask it with a casual demeanor. So, which one now? Hiruzen asked, storing the lightning scroll in a drawer as though it were just another routine task, though his tone suggested he was eager to hear what Naruto would tackle next. Well, I already finished the first step of fire manipulation thanks to Enraiha, Naruto said with a grin, referencing the sword he'd trained with, but now I'll follow the schedule. I want the first step of water manipulation. The Hokage nodded approvingly and reached into another drawer, producing a blue scroll. He placed it on the desk, but then, to Naruto's surprise, he added another, a green scroll. This, Hiruzen said, smiling, is your graduation present. Naruto blinked, taken aback. Present? His wide eyes reflected genuine shock. Yes, Hiruzen confirmed, still smiling. It's the Shunshin no Jutsu, a fast movement technique. It's incredibly useful, especially for someone like you. Shursui Uchiha, one of our finest shinobi, could use this technique without hand seals, and his speed was unmatched. Who knows? Maybe one day you'll be even faster. Naruto's face lit up, his grin widening as the excitement burst through his calm facade. Thanks, GG. This is an awesome present, Dadabayo. But just as the excitement filled the room, the Hokage's tone shifted, becoming more solemn, more reflective. Naruto-kun, now that you're a shinobi, you must understand that this path isn't easy. There will be difficult choices, consequences you'll have to face. Especially if you still aim to become Hokage. Hiruzen paused, his voice dipping into regret. I've made many choices I'm not proud of. Naruto cut in, his voice unexpectedly serious. Like trying to manipulate me? Hiruzen's eyes widened in surprise, the unspoken weight of years hanging between them. When I landed in the hospital after my 7th birthday, Naruto continued, his voice calm, you cried beside my bed, saying how sorry you were. I was conscious that time. The old Hokage's face softened, a mixture of guilt and confusion. Then why? Why? Naruto repeated, his voice carrying a strange wisdom. Because I believe in second chances. I was angry, sure, but not giving you a chance would have been hypocritical of me, don't you think? He smiled slightly, a mischievous glint in his eyes. Besides, if you wanted to keep manipulating me, you'd never have given me free access to the library. People are easier to control when they know less. Hiruzen's eyes welled up with emotion. His hands, once steady from years of leading a village, trembled slightly as he wiped away a tear. You don't know how much weight you've lifted off my shoulders, Naruto. I'm sorry for my attempts, and I thank you for giving me a chance. Naruto waved it off with his typical carefree attitude. Nah, I'm not good at holding grudges anyway. The Hokage's expression turned proud, his heart swelling at the sight of the young man standing before him. You've grown into a fine young man, Naruto. A heart of gold. Naruto tilted his head, confused. Gold? I thought organs were made of flesh, not metal. Hiruzen couldn't help but laugh, the tension in the room dissolving into warmth. It's just a saying, Naruto-kun. When someone has a heart of gold, it means they're a very good person. Oh, Naruto nodded, embarrassed by the misunderstanding. Thanks, GG. He scratched the back of his head, his cheeks tinged pink from the compliment. The Hokage smiled fondly. No, Naruto-kun, thank you. And thank you for what you've done for my grandson. Naruto's expression brightened. Konohamaru? He's a good kid. A bit bratty, but funny. Anyway, I have to get going if I want to squeeze in some more training today. As Naruto turned to leave, the Hokage reminded him, don't forget, team placements are tomorrow at 10 a.m. I won't forget, Dadabayo. Naruto called back, waving over his shoulder as he left the office. The door clicked shut, leaving Hiruzen alone in the quiet room. He sighed deeply, gazing out the window. This village doesn't deserve you, Naruto-kun, he whispered, his voice thick with sorrow. I only hope you don't come to the same conclusion. Later that day, Naruto found himself sitting at Ichiraka Ramen, his favorite spot in the village, finishing off a steaming bowl of miso ramen. Ayam, the cheerful ramen waitress, stood nearby, smiling warmly at the blonde boy. So, are you sure this plan will work? Naruto asked, wiping his mouth as he set the bowl down. Ayam shrugged, a thoughtful look on her face. I don't know, Naruto-kun, but if you want her to train, maybe this is the way. Naruto sighed, leaning back in his seat. The whole being cold to Sakura-chan thing will be hard for me. But if I have to do that to make sure she'll be safe, then so be it. Ayam watched him carefully as he stood to leave, a concerned look on her face. When will this test start? It should have started over an hour ago, Naruto said casually. Ayam's eyes widened in shock. Then why are you still here? Naruto shrugged nonchalantly. He wasted 2 hours of my training time yesterday. I don't see why I should respect his schedule. Ayam tried to scold him, her voice gentle but firm. He's going to be your Jonin sensei, Naruto-kun. You should show him some respect. Respect is earned, not given, Naruto replied, his tone more serious than usual. He's just a Jonin assigned to my team, Ayam-chan, not a real sensei. With that, he gave a lazy wave and started to leave. Anyway, I have to go. See you later, Ayam-chan, Tsuchiyaji-san, Karaoba-chan. As Naruto walked away, Tsuchi, the ramen chef, looked at his daughter with a teasing smile. Don't you think the girl might hate him if he follows your advice? Ayam crossed her arms, stubbornly defending her suggestion. She might be grateful. Tsuchi raised an eyebrow. Are you sure you didn't give him that advice just to have him all to yourself? Ayam's face turned bright red, her flustered expression betraying her embarrassment. What are you talking about, Otosan? Naruto-kun is almost like a little brother to me. Tsuchi chuckled knowingly. Oh, really? I didn't know older sisters had erotic dreams about their little brothers. Otosan. Ayam's face burned with embarrassment as she yelled, her blush deepening. Her mother, Kara, couldn't resist chiming in with a mischievous smile. Now, you shouldn't say things like that here, Tsuchi. Someone could hear you. Ayam's face softened in gratitude, only for her mother to add slyly, even though it's so totally true. Ka-chan. Ayam whined, burying her face in her hands as her parents shared a hearty laugh. The warmth of the ramen shop echoed with love and laughter as the Uzumaki boy, oblivious to the conversation, disappeared down the street, his mind already focused on what tomorrow would bring. The sun hung lazily in the sky as Team 7 gathered at the training grounds, tension thick in the air. Sakura, the pink-haired kunoichi, stood fuming, arms crossed as she glared at the blonde boy casually walking up. You're late, she screamed, her voice echoing across the field. Naruto, unbothered, merely shrugged as he strolled past her. Now, Sakura-chan. I don't see Kakashi, so I'm not technically late, he said, his tone nonchalant as he made his way to a tree, sitting down beneath its shade without a second glance at her. His dismissal left Sakura momentarily shocked, unused to Naruto not vying for her attention like he always did. Not even 5 minutes later, the lazy form of their sensei, Hatake Kakashi, emerged from the tree. Lying opposite them, hands tucked in his pockets as usual. Yo, he greeted, his one visible eye curving into a smile. Sakura's anger reignited as she yelled, "You're late," once more. Kakashi, unruffled by the outburst, scratched the back of his head. Yes, well, apparently yesterday I forgot about introductions, so before we start the test, we're going to take care of that, he said, ignoring her rage with the same easygoing demeanor. Sakura blinked, clearly confused. Can you show us how it's done, sensei? She asked. Sure. Kakashi's expression didn't change as he began, my name is Hatake Kakashi. I have no desire to tell you my likes and dislikes. Dreams for the future, and I have lots of hobbies. He finished with an eye smile, offering them virtually no information aside from his name. All we got was his name, thought the three genin in unison, sweat dropping at the complete lack of detail. Okay, now let's start with the blonde one, Kakashi said, turning his attention to Naruto, who was still resting under the tree with his eyes closed. Uzumaki Naruto, he said simply, clearly not interested in sharing more. Kakashi's visible eye crinkled with amusement. You know, you should tell us your likes, dislikes, and dream for the future, he encouraged with his usual laid-back tone. Naruto opened one eye lazily. You wasted too much of my time for that, Sharingan no Kakashi, he said, his voice flat and uninterested. Sasuke, the raven-haired boy of the group, perked up at the mention of the Sharingan. Wait, Sharingan? Are you an Uchiha? He asked, his sharp gaze flicking to Kakashi. Before Kakashi could answer, Naruto spoke up. He has a transplanted Sharingan behind his Hitai-8. He got it from his supposedly dead teammate, Obito Uchiha, who gave it to him to help protect the girl he loved. Kakashi's visible eye narrowed slightly, his easy smile fading. How do you know so much about me? He asked, his tone cautious now. Naruto shrugged. I have my sources. You're quite famous. He still didn't bother to open his eyes, remaining relaxed under the tree. The tension in the air thickened as Kakashi eyed Naruto. What do you mean by, supposedly, dead? He asked, his voice hardening, his usual carefree attitude momentarily dropping as he openly glared at the boy. According to the mission report, Obito's body was never recovered during the retrieval. For all we know, he could have survived, or his body might have been taken by the enemy for his Sharingan. People can manipulate elements, control fire, and summon giant beasts. Nothing is impossible in our world. Naruto's voice was matter-of-fact, his tone indifferent as Kakashi studied him for a long, tense moment. After what felt like an eternity, Kakashi relented, letting out a slow breath. Alright, let's move on, he said, turning to Sakura. Your turn, Pinky. Sakura scowled at the nickname but complied. My name is Haruno Sakura. The thing I like is, well, the person I like is. Her voice faltered as her eyes flickered over to Sasuke, a blush creeping up her cheeks. My dream for the future is. She trailed off, clearly daydreaming about the Uchiha. Then, as if remembering herself, her expression hardened. I dislike Ino-Pig and Naruto Baka, she finished, her eyes briefly glancing at Naruto as he flinched at the insult. Kakashi didn't miss the slight movement, noting it silently. My hobby is. Girls of this age are more interested in love than ninjutsu, Kakashi thought, suppressing a sigh before he gestured to Sasuke. My name is Uchiha Sasuke, the boy began, his voice cool and distant. There are a lot of things I dislike, and I don't really like anything. As for a dream. He hesitated. I can't really call it a dream. It's more of an ambition. I want to revive my clan and kill a certain man. Naruto's eyes snapped open at that. Pathetic. The air between them froze. Sasuke's head whipped toward Naruto so fast it was a wonder his neck didn't snap. What did you just say? He growled, his voice dripping with fury. Naruto sat up straight now, his expression cool, his blue eyes sharp. Revenge is for the weak. It's a tool for people too mentally fragile to cope with their loss. It won't bring back your loved ones. It won't change how you feel, and in the end, you'll be no better than Itachi. Sasuke's face twisted in rage. Shut up. I'm nothing like Itachi. Naruto's gaze didn't waver. Itachi is your brother, right? An Uchiha who killed the rest of your clan. When you say you want to kill him, one of the last remaining Uchihas, how are you any better than him? Sasuke's fists clenched, his entire body trembling with fury. You don't understand anything. You've never lost anyone. You were always alone. You don't know what it's like. You're right, Naruto interrupted, his voice low and steady, his body tensing. I never had a family. No loving mother, no protective father. No one to make proud or love me back. I don't know what it's like to lose them. But. Naruto's eyes opened fully, and Sasuke instinctively took a step back. The eyes that met his were not the usual carefree, mischievous blue. They were cold, hardened by pain and a loneliness far deeper than Sasuke had ever known. Don't pretend you know what my life has been like either. Most people in this village wouldn't have cared if I died somewhere along the way. Silence fell over the training grounds, the weight of Naruto's words settling like a heavy fog. After a long, tense moment, Naruto stood, his expression indifferent once more. Can we just start the test? I have better things to do than talk about the past. Kakashi, who had been quietly observing the exchange, nodded. Yes, of course. He pulled out 2 bento boxes, an alarm clock, and 2 small bells. Your job is to get one of these bells from me before noon. But sensei, Sakura said, frowning. There are only 2 bells. That's right. One of you will fail and get tied to the post while the other 2 eat lunch, Kakashi explained as both Sakura and Sasuke's stomachs growled. Naruto, meanwhile, was completely unfazed. Naruto, why did you eat when I told you not to? Kakashi asked, raising an eyebrow beneath his Hitai-8. Naruto shrugged. You never gave a real order, and even if you had, I would have ignored it. Telling us not to eat before a test like this is stupid. And so is the leader who gives an order like that. His tone was dismissive, almost bored. Kakashi chuckled. Oh really? Why do you think the test is stupid? Naruto crossed his arms, leaning back against the tree again. You're trying to test our teamwork and whether we're willing to sacrifice for the good of the team. Kakashi's eye crinkled. So you figured it out, huh? Not really. This is the same test the Shodaime Hokage gave Gigi and his teammates. Gigi told me all about it, how it was passed down to the Sannin, and then to the Yondaime and his team, and then to you and your teammates. You're not very original. Kakashi blinked, momentarily stunned at how well-informed Naruto was. Huh. Interesting. But, Naruto continued, this test is still stupid. Why do you think that? Kakashi asked, now genuinely curious. Naruto sighed. Sasuke's a genius, and because of that, he thinks he's better than the rest of us. Unless there's a serious threat, he won't even try to work with anyone. Sakura-chan, as his fangirl, will follow him without question. Sakura glared at Naruto, her face flushing with anger at his words, though beneath that anger, there was a flicker of hurt. Naruto ignored it, continuing. And you? Kakashi asked, tilting his head. I'm willing to work with them if they remember that they're genin, too, Naruto replied simply. Kakashi stared at Naruto for a moment, processing everything the boy had said. What do I do now? They already know. The point of the test. I could fail them by beating them down, but then I'd have to deal with the fallout of failing an Uchiha. He sighed internally. At least now I'll have more time to read in peace. Well, since the test is pointless now, I'll pass you all. Congratulations, Team 7, Kakashi said, finishing with an eye smile. Before I go, here's some advice you should remember, those who break the rules are scum, but those who abandon their friends and comrades are worse than scum. With that, Kakashi disappeared in a puff of smoke, leaving the 3 genin standing in silence. Naruto stretched lazily and started walking away. I'm off to tell Ayam-chan I passed without lifting a finger. A bit disappointing, honestly, he said casually over his shoulder. You can join if you want, team. Sasuke grunted, shaking his head. I don't have time for that. I need to train. Naruto shrugged. Your loss, Databayo. See ya around. Sakura, flustered, called after Sasuke. Sasuke-kun, do you want to? No, Sasuke interrupted coldly, walking off in the opposite direction. Sakura stood there, dejected, watching as both boys left without her. With no one to lift her spirits, she sighed, her mood darkened, and slowly made her way home, feeling more alone than she ever had before. Later that day, in the Hokage's office, the atmosphere was charged as the reports from the Jonin instructors came in one by one. Hiruzen Sarutobi, the third Hokage, listened carefully as each Jonin recounted the performance of their assigned teams. Team 7 passes. Kakashi Hatake said, his voice calm but his statement causing a ripple of surprise among the other Jonin. It wasn't often that Kakashi passed his teams on the first try. Team 8 passes. Kurenai Yuhi followed, her tone filled with quiet pride. Team 9 failed miserably. Heiate Gecko rasped, his handkerchief pressed to his mouth as he tried to suppress his cough. Team 10 passes. Asuma Sarutobi said with a puff of smoke, blowing out a cloud of smoke lazily as he leaned back in his chair. The Hokage nodded, a pleased expression on his face. Very well. I expect a lot out of the teams that passed. You're all dismissed. The room quickly cleared, leaving only Kakashi standing before Hiruzen. The older man studied him for a moment, sensing there was more the Jonin wanted to discuss. What can I do for you, Kakashi? Kakashi hesitated briefly, his usual carefree demeanor replaced by something more serious. Naruto worries me a little, Hokage-sama, he admitted. He knew a lot about me that he shouldn't know, and he refused to talk about his sources. Hiruzen's eyes softened with understanding, though his expression remained unreadable. Naruto has a knack for learning things on his own, the Hokage said, his voice calm and reassuring. When he trusts you, he will share his knowledge, just as he has done with me. And if you're worried about his loyalties, don't be. At this point, Kakashi, I would sooner question your loyalty than his. Hiruzen smiled gently, his tone unwavering. Have faith in your team, Kakashi. Kakashi was silent for a moment, taking in the Hokage's words. Finally, he nodded, his eye crinkling in acknowledgement. Of course, Hokage-sama. With that, he turned and left the office, his mind still buzzing with questions about Naruto. As the door clicked shut behind Kakashi, Hiruzen sighed softly and leaned back in his chair. Then, with a knowing smile, he spoke to the seemingly empty room. You can come out now, Naruto-kun. A shimmer in the corner of the room revealed the blond boy, who pulled back the hood of his cloak with a sheepish grin. Ah, and here I thought I managed to fool you, Gigi. The Hokage chuckled, his eyes twinkling. It's still far too early for that, Naruto-kun. Naruto pouted, though there was amusement in his expression. Well, I'd be kind of disappointed if I actually managed to do that. But I still fooled your ANBU and all the Jonin. Well, not all of them, your son, the smoking guy, he knew I was here. Hiruzen raised an eyebrow, clearly amused. Ah, you mean Asuma? Yes, he does have a knack for sensing things like that. And yes, he's my son. Naruto's eyes widened in surprise. That was your son? Well, at least you share a similar hobby. He gestured to the old man's ever-present pipe with a smirk. Hiruzen laughed heartily. I suppose we do. As the laughter faded, the Hokage leaned forward slightly. But tell me, Naruto-kun, why did you come here? Don't get me wrong, I'm always happy to see you, but at this time of day, you're usually training. Naruto's expression shifted, becoming more serious. I want to buy training ground 50. Hiruzen blinked in surprise. Buy? Well, would have to bring it before the council, but Naruto cut him off, his voice steady. According to Konoha law, if a training ground hasn't been used for at least 2 years, it can be sold without council approval, as long as the price is fair and you, as Hokage, approve it. I checked. Before I started using it, nobody had touched it for over a year. And since I was using it unofficially, it's like I never used it. The Hokage's expression softened with a hint of pride. You've done your homework, he said, wiping away an imaginary tear. You've grown up so fast. He reached for the necessary papers but paused when Naruto laid them out on the desk in front of him, already prepared. I love it when people come prepared, Hiruzen chuckled, signing the documents without hesitation. Once the deal was done, he handed Naruto his part of the paperwork. What are you planning to do with it? Naruto's eyes gleamed with excitement. I've already contacted some workers from a nearby civilian village. Since people here don't want to work for the demon, I hired them to build a fence around the training ground and a house for me. My clones will use sealing techniques to reinforce the materials they're using. After the fence is built, I'll create a barrier so no one can sneak in or see me training. The water and electricity supply are already sorted. The Hokage's eyebrows shot up in surprise. You've thought of everything, haven't you? Of course, Naruto said with a proud grin. It's going to be my new home, after all. Hiruzen leaned back, impressed. When will the workers arrive, and how many did you hire? Naruto scratched the back of his head awkwardly. Well, they've been here for 2 weeks already, actually. They're almost finished with the fence and the house. They just need a few more days, and it'll be done. Hiruzen couldn't help but chuckle again. I should have known. You always have a plan, don't you? He smiled fondly at Naruto. Well, at least let me know when it's ready. I'd like to see your new home. Of course, GG. Naruto grinned. But I've got to go. I promised Ayam-chan I'd help her close up Ichiraku tonight since her parents are going out. With that, Naruto turned and dashed out of the office, his energy infectious. Hiruzen watched him go, a fond smile playing on his lips as the door swung shut behind the boy. This village doesn't deserve you, Naruto-kun, Hiruzen murmured to himself, his voice heavy with emotion. I just hope you never come to that same conclusion. As the Hokage sat in the quiet of his office, surrounded by paperwork and the weight of leadership, he couldn't help but feel a swell of pride for the boy who was fast becoming more than just the vessel of the Nine Tails. Naruto was growing into a remarkable shinobi, one with a heart as strong as his determination. The future of Konoha rested heavily on his shoulders, but Hiruzen believed, no, he knew, Naruto would carry that weight better than anyone ever expected. It was just another quiet afternoon at the Yamanaka flower shop when the familiar jingle of the bell above the door signaled a customer's arrival. Ino Yamanaka turned from the counter, her usual greeting ready on her lips. Welcome to Yamanaka Flower SH, she began, but froze in surprise when she saw who it was. And Naruto? What are you doing here? She asked, eyes wide. Naruto chuckled softly at her reaction, already expecting it. Are you going to ask me the same question every time I come here to buy something, Ino? He teased, walking further into the shop, his hands casually tucked into his pockets. Ino blinked, trying to shake off her confusion. Of course not, it's just. I could have sworn I saw you and your team chasing that damn cat earlier. Her brow furrowed, recalling the sight of Team 7 running after the infamous Tora, the feisty pet that always seemed to go missing. Oh yeah, Naruto replied nonchalantly, waving a hand. I'm sending a clone to do those chores and for team training. It's a waste of my training time for me. Don't tell anyone, though. His tone was casual, but the information he dropped was enough to make Ino's eyes widen further. Wait, what? How? Bunshin no Jutsu is more of an illusion than anything else, Ino said, bewildered. The standard clone technique was hardly useful for real tasks, it was more for distraction than anything tangible. Naruto shrugged with a small smirk. There are different kinds of clones. Most of them aren't just illusions. He dodged the details, keeping it vague, but his words left Ino even more intrigued. She tilted her head, still trying to wrap her mind around his explanation. Wait, you said you're sending a clone to your team practices? Why not just train with them yourself? She asked, genuinely curious. Naruto's expression darkened a bit as he crossed his arms. I have an Uchiha and someone with a transplanted Sharingan on my team. I'm not about to let them steal my jutsu. Besides, Kakashi hasn't taught me or Sakura-chan anything useful, but he's already taught team at least one Katan jutsu. I don't respect a jonin who plays favorites. Ino frowned, feeling a slight pang of sympathy for Naruto. She knew how the village often overlooked him, but hearing it this plainly made it sting more. Before she could respond, Naruto's mood shifted back to business. But I'm not here to talk about that. I need 2 bouquets this time and everything on this list, he said, handing her a piece of paper. Ino glanced at the list before looking back at Naruto. 2 bouquets? Who are they for? Naruto's face brightened with a genuine smile. One is for Akira-ne-chan, Hokage's assistant. She's helped me out a few times in the past. The second one is for Karaoba-chan, the wife of the guy who owns Ichiraku Ramen. They're both celebrating their birthdays today. Ino blinked at the sincerity in his voice. Naruto, known for his loud and boisterous nature, had this surprisingly thoughtful side to him. I see. I'll make sure the bouquets are perfect, she said, a soft blush rising on her cheeks as she tried to focus on her work. Naruto wandered around the shop as Ino began preparing the bouquets, taking in the colorful flowers around him. And as for the bouquets, surprise me, he added with a small, gentle smile. That smile, so warm and unexpected, caught Ino off guard, making her blush deepen as she busied herself with the flowers to distract herself. As she worked, she couldn't help but glance at the list Naruto had handed her. What do you need all of this for? She asked, her curiosity getting the better of her. I'm working on a new garden, Naruto explained, as if it were the most normal thing in the world. He noticed Ino's shocked expression and quickly elaborated, I like gardening, Ino. It calms me down. If you haven't noticed, I have way too much energy, and it can make me go all hyper sometimes. Ino blinked again, even more surprised than before. Naruto likes gardening, she thought to herself, unable to picture the hyperactive blonde getting his hands dirty with something so delicate. She had never imagined him having a hobby like that. Sasuke-kun probably doesn't even know the difference between a rose and a daisy. Her thoughts trailed off before she mentally kicked herself. Why am I comparing Naruto to Sasuke-kun? Naruto's voice broke through her inner turmoil. I can help you with the stuff, you know. Some of it weighs a lot, Dadabayo, he offered, his tone kind. That brought another blush to Ino's face, which she quickly tried to shake off. That's so sweet. No. She scolded herself before smiling at him. Sure, if you want to. It took the two of them a little over half an hour to gather everything Naruto needed and for Ino to craft the 2 bouquets. As they worked, their conversation was light and easy, mostly filled with Ino's chatter while Naruto chimed in with the occasional response or teasing remark. She found it oddly comforting, talking with him like this. Once everything was ready, Ino looked at the collection of items in front of her, wondering how he was going to carry it all. But before she could ask, Naruto took out a sleek black scroll, unfurled it, and in a flash of chakra, sealed away all the materials from the list. Then, with a simple touch, the 2 bouquets disappeared into the same scroll. Ino stood there, dumbfounded. Naruto, seemingly oblivious to her surprise, stepped forward and gently tucked a flower behind her ear, just like the last time he'd visited the shop. Ino blinked, her cheeks flushing again. Are you going to give me a flower every time you come here? She asked, her voice quieter than she intended. Naruto grinned. Gigi said that beautiful girls should get a flower every now and then. Besides, I doubt you'll be getting one from team anytime soon. Her face flushed a deeper shade of red at the compliment, but she wasn't about to let him get away with it so easily. So you're giving me flowers out of pity? She asked, narrowing her eyes slightly, though her tone was teasing. Naruto shook his head, still smiling. Pity? Nah. There's no pity in giving a beautiful girl a beautiful flower. Gigi calls me a free spirit. I do what I want, when I want, and how I want. Even if something goes against orders or laws, if it's the right thing to do, I'll do it, Databeo. He scratched the back of his head, his usual carefree demeanor returning. Ino blushed again, though she wasn't sure if it was because of his compliment or his boldness. Suddenly, Naruto glanced at the clock, and his eyes widened. Damn, I've got to go. He hurriedly placed money on the counter, leaving a generous tip. Keep the change. He dashed toward the door, pausing just before stepping outside. See ya around, Ino, he called over his shoulder, flashing her one last warm smile. I had fun today. Next time I need something, I'll be back for sure, Databeo. And with that, he was gone. Ino stood there for a moment, still processing the whirlwind that was Naruto Uzumaki. She looked at the counter, noticing the generous tip, but couldn't help feeling a small pang of disappointment that he had left so quickly. Yeah, see you around, Naruto, she murmured to herself, her fingers absent-mindedly brushing the flower he'd tucked behind her ear, a small smile tugging at her lips. In the Hokage's office, the atmosphere was filled with anticipation. The members of Team 7 stood in front of the third Hokage, their faces a mixture of curiosity and excitement. Hiruzen Sarutobi smiled warmly at them, pleased with their progress so far. Congratulations, Team 7, the Hokage began. Today, I am assigning you your first C-rank mission. It's a straightforward protection mission. You are to escort and protect Tazuna, a bridge builder, on his way to Nami no Kuni and remain there until he finishes constructing the bridge that will connect the island to the mainland. The door to the office opened, and in walked an elderly man with a bottle of sake. In hand, his face flushed with the signs of recent drinking. His eyes scanned Team 7, and a disdainful frown appeared. What's this? They're just a bunch of super brats. Especially the shore, MHM. Tazuna's complaint was muffled as an ANBU quickly placed a hand over his mouth, preventing him from finishing his sentence. Naruto tilted his head in confusion, but his expression remained calm. Regardless, Hiruzen continued, not letting the comment faze him, you will leave tomorrow at 7 a.m. for your mission. He then looked directly at Naruto, his eyes soft but firm. And Naruto-kun, I want you to be on this mission. Naruto seemed ready to protest. But it's just, no buts, Naruto-kun, Hiruzen interrupted, his tone final. That's my decision. Naruto, resigned, sighed. Okay. Without warning, he took out a kunai and stabbed himself directly in the heart, causing Tazuna and even his own teammates to gasp in shock. But the boy merely poofed away, revealing that he had been a shadow clone all along. Kakashi blinked, his usual lazy demeanor slipping for a moment. That was a shadow clone, he muttered under his breath, but his quiet question did not go unheard by the Hokage. You didn't know? Hiruzen asked, his voice carrying a hint of disappointment as he narrowed his eyes at the Jonin. Kakashi immediately felt a bead of sweat trickle down his forehead. We will talk about this after your return, Kakashi, the Hokage said sternly. Kakashi nodded sheepishly, already dreading the conversation. Understood, Hokage-sama. Dismissed, Hiruzen said, his tone leaving no room for further discussion. Later that day, at Ichiraku ramen stand Naruto was helping Iam close up the ramen shop, washing the last of the dishes while Iam swept the floor. So, how long will this mission take? Iam asked as she absent-mindedly pushed the broom across the floor. A couple of weeks, maybe a month, Naruto replied, rinsing the final dish and setting it aside. Iam pouted, resting her hands on the broom handle. Ah, I'm going to miss your massages. She muttered with a playful whine. Naruto chuckled, drying his hands. And here I hoped you'd miss me, he teased, grinning at her as he walked toward the door. Iam laughed softly and ruffled his blonde hair. Huh, You know I'll miss you, Naruto-kun. You're like my younger brother. Just as Naruto reached for the door to leave, Iam's hand shot out and grabbed his wrist, stopping him in his tracks. He turned to look at her, a puzzled expression on his face. She wasn't meeting his gaze. Instead, she was staring at the floor, her cheeks flushed with a deep red. Since you'll be gone for so long, Iam began hesitantly, I thought maybe we could, She was struggling with her words, clearly nervous. I mean, I could help you with your, training, your henjutsu. Naruto's eyes widened slightly, and his own face reddened. Henjutsu, he repeated, his voice uncertain. Iam nodded, her blush deepening. And since the massages are already perfected, I thought we should train the next thing. Naruto's mind flashed to the next step in the scroll he had been following. Kissing? His voice cracked slightly, clearly caught off guard. But you and Akira-chan said that things like that should only be done with a boyfriend or girlfriend. Iam turned her gaze to meet his, her expression suddenly serious. That's true, but as your newly appointed adoptive older sister, I need to teach you how to take care of a woman. She spoke with conviction, but Naruto could still sense her embarrassment. Seeing that he wasn't entirely convinced, she played her trump card. Oh, I get it, she said, feigning hurt. I'm not good or attractive enough for you, huh? Naruto immediately panicked. Oh, of course not, he stammered, waving his hands in denial. It's just, I don't think sisters do something like this with their brothers. We're not really siblings, so it's okay, Iam said quickly, trying to reassure him. Naruto shifted awkwardly. I wouldn't want people to talk badly about you because of me, he added, concern in his voice. Iam smiled softly, touched by his thoughtfulness. I don't care what people say. Besides, this is only for training purposes. She stepped closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. So now, kiss me. Naruto hesitated for only a second before sighing in defeat. If that's what you want, he thought, stepping onto a small stool to close the height difference between them. Without further delay, he captured her lips in a kiss. At first, it was clumsy and awkward, but as the kiss continued, it grew more heated. Naruto, following the instructions he had learned, began channeling chakra through his lips and hands, which now rested on Iam's sides. Waves of warmth and pleasure coursed through her, and she let out a soft moan, instinctively deepening the kiss. Naruto used the opportunity to slip his tongue into her mouth, just like the scroll had described. Time seemed to slow as their kiss grew more intense. Iam was overwhelmed by the sensations, her body reacting to Naruto's chakra in ways she hadn't expected. She moaned again, louder this time, and felt her knees buckle slightly as pleasure overtook her. Before she could pull away to catch her breath, Naruto's hands moved lower, squeezing her behind, sending another jolt of pleasure through her body. With a final moan into the kiss, Iam reached her limit, her body trembling as the last wave of chakra coursed through her. Naruto pulled back, his face red with embarrassment. I am sorry, he stammered. Iam, still breathing heavily, shook her head, her lips curving into a small smile. I'm not, she said softly. They stood in silence for a few moments as Iam regained her composure. She leaned against Naruto slightly until she was able to stand on her own again. When she felt steady enough, she excused herself and disappeared into the restroom to freshen up. While she was gone, Naruto reflected on what had just happened. I think I know why this had such a strong effect on you, Iam-chan, he said when she returned. According to the scroll, the bigger the difference in chakra reserves and potency between two people, the stronger the effects of henjutsu will be. Since you're a civilian with little chakra, and I have a lot of it, plus Gigi says my chakra is stronger than most people's, it amplified the effects. I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner. Iam waved off his concerns, smiling brightly. Don't worry, Naruto-kun. It's not like I didn't enjoy it. Naruto chuckled awkwardly. Still, I didn't mean to overwhelm you. Iam's smile grew softer. Let's not worry about that now. You've got a big day tomorrow, she reminded him as they walked toward the door. And once you return, maybe we can train a little more, she thought mischievously, a small blush returning to her cheeks. Are you okay, Iam-chan? Naruto asked, noticing the redness in her face. I'm fine, Naruto-kun. Don't worry. If you say so, he replied, shrugging. His face then lit up with excitement. I can't believe it, tomorrow's my first real ninja mission. Databao. The next day, on the road to Nami no Kuni, Team 7 and Tazuna walked along the dirt road leading to Nami no Kuni. The sun was high in the sky, and the journey had been relatively uneventful so far. But the quiet was broken when Sakura suddenly turned to their client. Tazuna-san, she asked hesitantly. What? The old bridge builder grumbled, taking a swig of sake. You're from Nami no Kuni, right? Tazuna raised an eyebrow at her. Yeah, what about it? Sakura glanced at Kakashi. Do they have ninjas in that country too, Kakashi-sensei? Before Kakashi could answer, Naruto spoke up, his tone casual but firm. No, they don't need them. The water surrounding the islands should protect them from most of the dangers in the world. Lands like Nami no Kuni and Umi no Kuni held military significance back when Uzushio was around. But since Uzushio's fall at the end of the Second Shinobi World War, having shinobi stationed there would be more of a liability than an asset. Sakura blinked in surprise, clearly taken aback by Naruto's knowledge of history. Uzushio? She asked, frowning in confusion. Naruto glanced at her out of the corner of his eye. Yeah, Uzushio-gakure. The village hidden in the whirlpools. It was destroyed during the war, but before that, it was home to the Uzumaki clan. That's where my family is from. Sasuke and Sakura's eyes widened in shock. You're an Uzumaki? Sasuke asked, his brow furrowing. But, you don't look like one. Naruto chuckled dryly. Appearances can be deceiving. In the end, you look like a stuck-up kid with a superiority complex. The blonde grinned, watching the Uchiha's eye twitch in irritation. He then turned his attention to Tazuna. You don't look much like a bridge builder either, but here we are. Tazuna scowled, taking another swig from his bottle. Cheeky brat, he muttered under his breath, but there was a hint of amusement in his gruff tone. However, something seemed to click in Tazuna's mind. His eyes squinted as if recalling an old memory. You know. I remember seeing that swirl on your back when I was younger. There was this guy wearing a black kimono with gold cherry blossom petals, right? Naruto interrupted, not bothering to hide his smirk. Yeah, I've got one just like that back at home. It's an heirloom, but I don't wear it much. Too formal. Tazuna's eyes widened. I thought that kimono belonged to me and me alone, Naruto cut in sharply, his usually carefree expression hardening. His piercing blue eyes locked onto Tazuna, cold and unyielding. It was a silent warning, but it was clear enough. Don't push it. Tazuna raised his hands in mock surrender, the tick mark of irritation forming on his forehead. I see. He grumbled, looking away. Kakashi, watching the exchange closely, narrowed his visible eye. He had been quiet, letting his students talk, but now his mind was swirling with questions. Naruto knew far more than he let on, and the boy's ties to the Uzumaki clan were something Kakashi had never expected. Why weren't we told about the Uzumaki clan, sensei? Sakura asked, her voice laced with genuine curiosity. Kakashi sighed, his nose still buried in his book but paying close attention now. I'm not sure why it wasn't discussed, but the Uzumaki clan was one of Konoha's closest allies. They were instrumental in creating this village. Mito Uzumaki, the wife of the first Hokage, was an Uzumaki, and she created several of the seals we still use today to protect the village. Sasuke, who had remained mostly quiet, raised an eyebrow. I thought the Uchiha and Senju created the village. Naruto smirked, stepping around a small puddle on the road without a second thought. The Uchiha gave the land, the Senju brought the connections, but the Uzumaki clan funded it. Without us, there wouldn't have been a village to protect. His tone was casual, but there was pride in his words. Kakashi's eye flickered with approval at Naruto's unexpected knowledge, but the moment was shattered when the puddle Naruto had so casually stepped over rippled, and two figures shot out from it. Two Kiri missing Nin, dressed in black armor and chains, emerged from the water, their bodies moving in perfect sync. One of them leaped into the air, swinging a chain meant to wrap around Kakashi. It happened in an instant. Naruto, who had been waiting for just this moment, reacted faster than anyone else. Before the attacking ninja could even process what was happening, Naruto was already in the air. He twisted gracefully and delivered a powerful kick to the side of the first ninja's head, sending him crashing headfirst into a nearby tree, unconscious. The other ninja, stunned by his partner's sudden defeat, called out in shock. Gozu. Naruto didn't give him time to recover. He created a clone mid-air, using it as a springboard to propel himself toward the remaining attacker. Twisting his body, Naruto's foot slammed into the second ninja's jaw, breaking the gas mask and sending him flying into another tree. The entire encounter took only seconds, but both missing Nin were down for the count. Sakura, Sasuke, and Tazuna stood there, eyes wide with disbelief at how quickly Naruto had taken them out. It was as if they were witnessing a completely different Naruto from the boy they thought they knew. Naruto landed softly on the ground, his expression calm as he reached into his kunai holster. He pulled out two brown kunai, and for a terrifying moment, it looked as if he was about to finish off the downed enemies. Sakura gasped. Naruto. But before the kunai made contact, they poofed into small discs bearing the Uzumaki clan crest. The discs hit the chests of both missing Nin, and blue ninja wire shot out, wrapping tightly around them. After a moment, the wire began to glow faintly with chakra, ensuring the enemies were immobilized. Naruto pulled out a black book from his pouch and began flipping through it, not even bothering to look at Kakashi, who was now standing nearby. You know, Naruto, Kakashi said, his tone curious but slightly annoyed, I allowed them to attack because I wanted to see who they were targeting. And I should care because... Naruto didn't look up from his bingo book, his voice flat and uninterested. Kakashi blinked, the usually unflappable Jonin momentarily taken aback by Naruto's indifference. Is this how everyone feels when I act like this? Kakashi thought with a sigh. Because I'm your sensei, he finally answered. Naruto paused for a moment, his eyes flickering up to meet Kakashi's, but there was no warmth in them. A sensei is someone who helps you improve, mentally or physically, or teaches you new skills. You've done nothing to earn that title with me or Sakura-chan. You've only been a sensei to team so far. These two were a threat to the team, so I acted accordingly. He then returned his attention to his book, flipping through the pages without a care. Sakura stood there, speechless, her hands gripping the hem of her dress. The cold, distant Naruto standing before her was nothing like the Naruto she was used to. Kakashi flinched at the harsh truth in Naruto's words but remained silent. He watched as Naruto scanned through his bingo book, searching for the identities of the two missing Nin. Sasuke, meanwhile, narrowed his eyes. You're robbing them? He asked, his voice dripping with disdain. Naruto sighed, closing his book with a snap. According to the law, any items or bounties from missing Nin are the property of the one who captured them. So, yes, whatever they have on them is mine. Sasuke's eyes flickered with something unreadable. Are you going to kill them? He asked, the question hanging heavily in the air. Naruto's blue eyes met Sasuke's for a moment before he turned away, sealing away the missing Nin's belongings. That depends on what they're wanted for. Sakura, her voice small and uncertain, asked, why you would kill them? Naruto looked at her, his gaze intense. This world isn't kind, Sakura-chan. People like them, he gestured to the unconscious enemies, would kill you without a second thought. And death would be the least of your worries. There are worse fates for someone like you. Sakura flinched at the cold reality of his words. Naruto's tone softened, but it was still firm. You're not a damsel in distress, and Sasuke isn't some knight in shining armor. He's strong, sure, but not invincible. Not yet. If you ever get separated from the team, you need to be able to defend yourself. This world doesn't have room for fangirls. The sooner you realize that, the better. Sakura stood there, trembling, tears threatening to spill from her eyes. But she remained silent, knowing, deep down, that Naruto was right. Naruto's clone handed him 2 scrolls, which he quickly sealed into the storage seals on his gloves. He then pulled out a photo, his expression hardening once more. I was wrong about one thing, he said, turning the photo toward the rest of the group. Our client is more useless than I thought. Tazuna looked away, guilt and shame written all over his face. You're hiding something, aren't you? Naruto pressed. With a heavy sigh, Tazuna finally confessed everything, the situation with Gato, the true dangers they were facing, and why he had lied about the mission's rank. Naruto crossed his arms, his eyes narrowing. You're stupid. If you had told Gigi, our Hokage, the truth from the start, he would have found a way to help. Gigi isn't someone who would abandon you just because you couldn't afford a higher-ranked mission. Naruto's tone was sharp, his frustration clear as he glared at the old man. He would have come up with a payment plan or something. Instead, you put all of us at risk. Tazuna looked down, shame burning on his face. I couldn't. I didn't think. Couldn't what? Naruto interrupted, his voice cold. Trust the Hokage? You thought you'd just lie to us and hope for the best? If you can't even trust him, then how can you trust us to protect you? Tazuna flinched under Naruto's scolding, guilt clear in his hunched posture. He muttered something incoherent, but it was clear that Naruto's words had hit their mark. Naruto sighed, clearly annoyed but more resigned than angry now. Either way, what's done is done. We need to move forward. I think we should head to Kanyu village. It's close by, and I can cash in the bounty for these 2 idiots. He gestured to the 2 Kiri missing Nin, who were still bound by the glowing chakra wire. Sasuke, who had been watching the exchange with narrowed eyes, crossed his arms. Won't it be easier for more attackers to ambush us in a civilian village? Naruto shook his head. Attacking a civilian village would draw too much attention from Hunter Nin. Most missing Nin won't risk that unless they're incredibly desperate or powerful. And I doubt anyone after us is at that level. The one behind these 2 is likely an A-rank ninja at best, and Kakashi should be able to handle someone like that. His tone made it clear that he didn't think much of the threat. Sasuke scoffed lightly. And what kind of people would risk attacking us in a civilian village, Dobe? He asked, his tone challenging. Naruto's eyes met Sasuke's coldly. People like your brother. S-rank missing Nin who could take out any Hunter Nin sent after them without breaking a sweat. But someone like that wouldn't send weaklings like these 2 to do their dirty work. Whoever's pulling the strings here isn't that strong. Yet. Sasuke's face darkened at the mention of Itachi, but he said nothing more. Naruto, having said his piece, started walking again, Tazuna following close behind. Let's get moving. We don't have time to waste. Kakashi, who had been silently observing the entire exchange, let out a small sigh. You know, Naruto, I am the Jonin leader here. I should be giving the orders. Naruto didn't stop walking as he waved a hand dismissively over his shoulder. And I don't care. Kakashi's eye twitched slightly in irritation, but he said nothing, though he couldn't help but chuckle internally. Is this how I make people feel when I act like this? Sasuke, after a brief moment of hesitation, followed after Naruto, leaving Kakashi and Sakura behind. Sakura, still standing in place, was trembling slightly, tears gathering in her eyes from the verbal lashing Naruto had given her earlier. She gripped the hem of her dress tightly, trying to stop herself from crying, feeling like a burden to the team. Kakashi, noticing her distress, sighed softly and placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. Come on, Sakura. Let's go. This mission isn't over yet. Sakura sniffed but nodded weakly, following her teammates as she tried to hold herself together. Kakashi could only sigh again, his mind heavy with thoughts of how to better guide her going forward. Be a sensei, they said. It's an easy job, they said. TCH, easy my ass. In the quiet village of Kanyu, Kakashi was just starting to suggest finding a place to rest when a voice interrupted him, calling out, Naruto? All eyes turned to the source of the voice, but only Naruto recognized the grisly-looking man who stood before them. Kenta! Naruto shouted with excitement, walking toward the man. Kenta, with a warm smile, greeted him like an old friend. What are you doing here? Kenta chuckled, explaining that he was in the village gathering supplies and looking for work. But what about you? I see you've become a shinobi. Naruto grinned, pride in his voice. Yeah, I'm here on a mission. Oh, wait, let me introduce you to my team. Kenta teased Naruto, laughing about the boy's lack of manners, but Naruto fired back with a playful jab, reminding him of his days burping the alphabet. The boy, brimming with energy, brought Kenta to meet his team, beginning with Kakashi. This stupid pervert is Kakashi Hatake, the jonin assigned to my unit, Naruto said with a smirk. Kenta raised an eyebrow. Jonin assigned to your unit? Don't you mean, sensei? He asked, amused by Naruto's casual disrespect. Nah, he's just another letdown, Naruto quipped before introducing Sasuke, calling him arrogant and accusing him of being funny to prank and maybe even gay. Sasuke immediately bristled, yelling, I'm not gay, dobe. The playful banter between Naruto and Sasuke made both Kenta and Naruto burst into laughter. The introductions continued, with Naruto calling their client Tazuna a drunkard who claims to know how to build bridges, earning an irritated twitch from Tazuna. Then, as Naruto began introducing Sakura, Kenta's eyes twinkled mischievously. Good thing I left Mira at home, she's still possessive of you, he teased, causing Naruto to blush slightly. After some banter, Kenta offered the team a place to stay, and Naruto, taking charge as usual, accepted without hesitation. They followed Kenta, and when Kakashi asked how Kenta knew Naruto, the gruff man simply replied, if Naruto doesn't trust you enough to tell you, why should I? The next morning, Naruto and Kenta were sitting in a local bar, Naruto finishing his 12th bowl of ramen with a satisfied sigh. Hard to believe you can eat that much, Kenta said, shaking his head. Naruto patted his full stomach. It's nothing. Oi, I wanna pay. Their peaceful moment was soon interrupted by Sasuke's arrival, who informed Naruto that Kakashi had sent them to fetch him. Before leaving, Naruto teased Sasuke, accusing him of wanting to spy on him in the bathroom. Sasuke, flustered and indignant, repeated, I'm not gay. As the two boys went off, Kenta turned to Sakura, who had been standing quietly. You know, Naruto told me many things about you, but I didn't expect you to be so quiet. Sakura looked down, rubbing her arm nervously. He probably told you how useless I am. Her voice was small and filled with self-doubt. Kenta's face softened. Useless? He echoed, surprised. Sakura explained how Naruto had called her as useless as their client after an earlier attack, and she felt as though his words were a harsh truth. She began tearing up. Kenta leaned in, his voice gentle yet firm. Maybe you are useless in fights right now, but nobody is strong from the start. Naruto, of all people, knows that best. He trains like a madman, pushing himself because he wants to protect the people he cares about. He paused, then added with a meaningful look, and you're one of those people. He might say hurtful things, but it's only because he wants you to become stronger. Sakura's eyes widened, surprised by Kenta's words. He cares about me? Kenta smiled. More than you know. That boy would throw himself into danger without a second thought if it meant keeping you safe. He once saved my family and me from a madman, and after everything, he was shocked that we thanked him. I just did what was right, he said. Sakura listened, her heart heavy with a mixture of guilt and realization. Kenta's words lingered, reminding her that perhaps Naruto's harshness wasn't cruelty, but a sign of something deeper. Meanwhile, in the restroom, Sasuke and Naruto were washing their hands when Sasuke, with rare vulnerability, noted, "Sakura hasn't said much since yesterday." Naruto gave a nonchalant shrug. So? I thought you liked her. Naruto's smile faded, replaced by a sad, almost resigned look. I do, but she likes you. His voice was soft, his eyes reflecting a deeper pain. I know I'm reckless. I know my chances of living a long life are slim, especially in this line of work. So, if I have to be the person she hates to push her to become stronger, I'll do it. I don't care if she hates me, if it means she'll survive. Naruto's words struck a chord in Sasuke, reminding him of something his brother, Itachi, had once said. It was unsettling how much Naruto's thoughts mirrored Itachi's, and the connection left Sasuke silently pondering. Naruto sighed and glanced in the mirror. I always wanted to be Hokage, to protect the village, to be acknowledged. But the more I think about it, the more I realize, strength can be isolating. If you don't have someone to keep you grounded, it can twist you. Make you arrogant. He ruffled his hair in frustration, shaking off the sentimentality. Sasuke, now lost in thought, clenched his fists. You're a lot like my brother, he muttered quietly. Naruto paused, catching the weight in Sasuke's tone. The connection between them was unspoken, but deeply felt. Before they could dive further into the conversation, Naruto turned to Sasuke. Come on, we should get back before Kakashi gets all weepy. They returned to find Kenta bidding them farewell. Naruto, still his cheerful self, smiled and waved. Say hi to everyone back at the village for me. Kenta laughed. Will do. Myra's going to be disappointed she couldn't come with me. Naruto groaned at the mention of Mira and shook Kenta's hand. Good luck with your job. See you around. With that, the group set off, leaving Kenta behind. As they walked away from the village, a strange sense of unity and understanding settled over them. Naruto's words, both to Sasuke and Sakura, had touched them in ways they hadn't expected. For all his loud antics and goofy behavior, there was a depth to Naruto that the others were just beginning to see. For days had passed since the team left Konya village, and they now found themselves deep in Nami no Kuni, face to face with a dangerous adversary, Zabuza Momochi, the demon of the hidden mist. Kakashi had been caught in Zabuza's Suiro no Jutsu, a water prison that immobilized him, leaving his genin team to fend off the 3 water clones of the deadly swordsman. Take Tazuna-san and run. Kakashi shouted from inside his watery prison. You can't beat him like this. Mizu Bunshins can't stray far from the original, but you need to go now. Zabuza watched the young shinobi with cold amusement, evaluating their reactions. Tazuna looked terrified, while Sasuke and Sakura were frozen with fear, Sakura more so than Sasuke. But Naruto. Naruto stood there with an almost casual demeanor, as if he wasn't the least bit fazed by the killing intent swirling around them. Team, Naruto whispered to Sasuke, I have a plan. After I deal with the clones, shoot the biggest fireball you can at me. Sasuke shot him a skeptical look. If you take care of the clones, I'll end up burning you with my jutsu, dobe. Are you out of your mind? Naruto grinned, that reckless spark in his eyes. Yeah, probably. Without another word, Naruto charged at the water clones, moving with a speed that left even Sasuke struggling to keep up. To Tazuna and Sakura, he was a blur. Let's get wild. Naruto shouted, rushing straight at one of the clones. You're fast, but not fast enough, one of the water clones sneered, swinging Zabuza's massive sword, Kubikurabocho, to slice Naruto in half. Sakura screamed, her voice full of terror, Naruto. But the two halves of Naruto's body poofed into smoke, just a clone. From the shadow of the first Naruto, a second Naruto emerged, catching two kunai mid-air as the first transformed halves turned into weapons. Using the brief moment of surprise, Naruto slashed the clone across the chest, dispelling it. Zabuza narrowed his eyes. Shadow clone at this speed? At his age? Naruto didn't stop there. Without losing focus on the real Zabuza, he hurled the kunai at the remaining two water clones, hitting them in the neck and dispelling them just as quickly. His execution was precise, ruthless, and efficient. Zabuza's cold smirk widened. The brat's skilled. Sasuke, realizing his part in Naruto's plan, inhaled deeply. Katan, Gokakyu no Jutsu. A large, fiery orb flew straight toward Naruto. Sakura shouted a warning, but Naruto ignored her, standing still as the flames roared toward him. He formed a half-ram seal, smirking as he muttered, "You're going down, you eyebrowless freak." Zabuza's eyes flicked toward the blonde boy just as Naruto disappeared in a puff of smoke, a substitution in place of the kunai left in his previous position. Kakashi's eyes widened from inside his prison. No smoke, no hand signs, just like Mikoto-sama's mastery of substitution. How is this boy the class dead last? Naruto reappeared a moment later, unleashing his next move. Futon, de Tapa. A gust of wind erupted from Naruto's mouth, fueling the fireball and making it grow larger and hotter as it sped toward Zabuza. Realizing the danger, Zabuza had no choice but to abandon the water prison, leaping away to avoid the blazing inferno. Kakashi was finally freed from the water dome. Before Zabuza could recover, Naruto appeared upside down in midair, hands clasped together as though in prayer. Futon, Kaze no Ryu, he roared. A massive dragon made of wind shot forward, merging with Sasuke's fireball, transforming into a white-hot flaming dragon that blazed through the air, heading straight for Zabuza. With no time to waste, Zabuza performed a series of hand seals, summoning his own counterattack. Suetun, Suryuden no Jutsu. From the lake rose a dragon of water, clashing violently with the fiery wind dragon. The two massive creatures battled for dominance before finally canceling each other out, sending steam billowing across the battlefield. Panting heavily, Zabuza cursed under his breath. That brat, Kakashi, now free and fully focused, took advantage of Zabuza's weariness. Suetun, Daibakufu no Jutsu. A giant wave of water surged toward Zabuza, slamming him into a nearby tree. Gasping for breath, Zabuza glared at Kakashi. Because of that brat. I forgot about you, Kakashi, kunai crackling with electricity, advanced on the weakened swordsman, prepared to end him. But before he could strike, 3 needles shot through the air, embedding themselves in Zabuza's neck. A masked figure appeared, dressed in the attire of a Kiri hunter nin. Kakashi paused, assessing the situation. The masked figure bowed slightly. Thank you. I've been waiting for the opportunity to kill Zabuza. The masked hunter nin quickly moved to Zabuza's body, preparing to take it away. Kakashi, though still cautious, acknowledged the figure's legitimacy. Hunter nin, huh? The masked figure nodded. Correct. I am part of Kiri's team tasked with hunting down missing Nin. Sakura, confused, whispered, Hunter Nin? Kakashi explained, their job is to dispose of rogue ninja. Despite the explanation, Kakashi's sharp gaze followed every movement of the Hunter Nin. Something about the situation felt off, and Naruto's tense posture only confirmed his unease. This kid, he's not normal. But then again, neither is Naruto. As the Hunter Nin disappeared with Zabuza's body, Kakashi exhaled deeply. We need to get Tazuna-san home. But as he took a step forward, Kakashi collapsed, only to be caught by Naruto, who glared into the distance where the Hunter Nin had disappeared. What happened to Sensei? Sakura cried. Chakra exhaustion, Naruto said, his tone calm but firm. He created 2 shadow clones to carry Kakashi. We need to move. It's not safe here. What do you mean? Tazuna asked, confused. That swordsman's dead, isn't he? Naruto shook his head. Zabuza's alive. Sasuke, shocked, demanded, what are you talking about, Dobe? Naruto explained, the Senbon hit key points in Zabuza's neck, putting him in a death-like state. I know those pressure points from studying anatomy and using Senbon myself. Then why didn't you say something, Baka? Sakura fumed, her frustration evident. Naruto, unperturbed, met her gaze with quiet intensity. Because fighting an unknown enemy, especially one skilled enough to fool Kakashi-sensei, would have been too dangerous. I made the decision not to engage today. Tazuna paled. So he's going to come after us again? Naruto shrugged. He'll need at least a week to recover. By then, Kakashi-sensei will have a plan. His tone held a glimmer of reassurance, though it was clear he was thinking ahead, already planning their next moves. For now, let's get to your house and rest. Tazuna, though still shaken, nodded and began leading the way. Sasuke and Sakura, however, lingered for a moment, watching Naruto with newfound respect and confusion. Is this really the same Naruto from the academy? Sakura thought, stunned. How did he get so strong? Sasuke, his eyes narrowing, reflected on Naruto's display of power. Jutsu without hand seals, speed I could barely follow, how far ahead are you, Naruto? Naruto's voice called out, pulling them from their thoughts. Oi! Are you coming or what, Dadabayo? With that, the group hurried to catch up, leaving behind the site of their hard-fought battle, but with much to consider as they moved forward. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, smash that like button and subscribe for more content. Support the original author by clicking their profile link in the pinned comment of the first video of this series. They deserve the love. Want early access and exclusive content? Join my Patreon community, link below. Your support fuels these videos. Drop a comment with your thoughts, and I'll catch you in the next video. Stay entertained, stay safe.